live.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I just love how every episode we start by laughing. I sincerely hope those of you that are listening, your takeaway from it is that these two girls, these two friends, really love like laughing a lot and are happy about life. Uh, just because dramas are a good way for us to cope with just life in general, and it's
Mhm,
entertaining, especially if it is that you do get yourself some very good dramas. And
mhm.
with that said, we're going to just do a quick introduction. Welcome to the second episode of our podcast, Subtitles, Our Girl's Best Friend, where we do watch dramas, primarily right now Asian dramas. We do intend to spread further in subsequent seasons, but for now we watch Asian dramas. Why? Because we do believe that having that experience and watching shows from other countries and other regions is a great way to broaden our entertainment palette and see the
Mhm.
wonders and amazingness of stories across, because stories are not limited to the countries we live in. Stories are not limited to our own experiences. Stories are universal. They have a way to move us, to
Mhm.
shape us, to have us just absolutely delighted in what it is that we get to see and experience. And so we decided to make this podcast. Hi, I am Noria. If this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, and with me is my very good friend, Holly.
Hiya.
Like Ollie and I said, and we do say this in every episode, that you don't need to believe, or you don't need to have this belief that you need to watch the dramas subbed. If it is that you rather prefer them dubbed, for any reason, all of it is still valid. We use subtitles are a girl's best friend because we personally like to watch our shows subbed, but also because it's a good play on a very great song that you're
It's
probably are
very true.
currently humming to yourself right now, and it
We're gonna
worked.
gaslight you. Every time you listen, we'll gaslight you guys into
Yes,
thinking that we're gonna start singing it, and all the time we're like, we can't afford the copyright strike. We can't afford the copyright
we
strike.
cannot afford it. Sorry. We can't even hum it. So if you want to hum it for us at your end, that is perfectly fine. Please, knock yourself out.
Now is a great time for me
But
to say that because of illness, I'm not recording in my usual room, so there's going to be even more cat noise than usual. I apologise. They waited for me to start
yes.
recording and are now scrapping at the end of the bed, so I apologise for that.
Eventually you all will figure out that we like cats a lot in this podcast. We both have cats. I have a singular one. Holly has a lot because Holly is a dare and they adore her because she's adorable. And I have one cat who is currently at the moment he is sleeping right beside my feet. So if at any point in time he wakes up and decides that okay, he's done with his nap, now I need to pay attention to him, you all will hear. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that his nap will go on for at least as long as this episode does. So last week we talked about two Asian dramas. And for those that are unaware, this season, the first season for the podcast is themed. We're calling it they thought she was dead for obvious reasons. When you look through the catalog of shows that we are going to discuss or we're going to talk about for the entirety of this season, you would really see how applicable that theme is. And Ollie and I did it that way so that we can, stay on track, pick similar dramas, not exactly the same, but with something that is like consistent across board, just to give it that bit of humph for the first season.
Mhm.
Also, so that if you, for example, want to start suggesting what shows you think would fit our theme for the second season, we can address that much later, much later, for various reasons. But today's episode, we are titling it Second Chances. And we have two dramas, as always, to talk about. Holly will talk about one, I will talk about the other. Now, unlike last episode where it was that Holly and I had both watched the double and successfully finished it, but I never got the chance to really go beyond like a quarter of the way through with Lady Revenger, which is the show that Holly chose. Today's
My bad.
episode is a bit different because no, Ollie, that is not your fault. That is absolutely not your fault. The writing was okay. Well, we already established that that was not Holly's fault.
Yes.
But for today's episode, we made a conscious decision and choice to ensure that we did not watch the other person's show, just so that we
Hmm.
get to have one person like serve the role of you, the audience, listening to what these shows are about and talking about our shows either which way. So, Ollie, I think you should go first and talk about
Yep.
your drama, and then I will talk about mine.
I will. I will also say that if people have come from the first episode, I have tried to focus more in on the earlier episodes and then get vague later on,
Hmm.
rather than try and document everything that happens. Because although this is a shorter drama and therefore is less complicated, I don't want to get so bogged down in try it again, he said, she said stuff, and for everyone to be sitting at
Yeah.
home saying, I don't know what's going on. So I'm hoping that this way I'll be a little bit more clear. We'll find out. I tend to get overexcited. So my show for this week is called Perfect Marriage Revenge. It's a Korean drama, starring Sung Hoon and Young Yoo Min. And Sung
Mm.
Hoon is one of those guys who he's a very good starter pack if you want to get into K dramas. He does the romance
Yes, I
drama
agree.
extremely well. He has every single one of his. I think this is the fourth one of his I've watched now, and they're all fantastic. And
Hmm. Hmm.
he's a good little actor. He does it well, and so yeah, genuinely just like he tends to do a lot of like rich boyfriend ones as well, without
My
being
secret
obnoxious.
romance.
So I think yeah, My Secret Romance is and Business Proposal, like the two that I first started
Yes.
watching, and that's
Mm, mm.
Secret Romance is one of his, and it's gorgeous. Right, so artist Han Yi-ju, played by Young Yoo Min, is bullied and
Mm.
pressured by her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, her sister, her stepmother, her father, and her awful, awful weak husband at her
Damn.
family's art gallery. While at this event and desperately smiling around trying to get somebody to treat her like a human being, she runs into a rich guy, Seo Do. Sorry, I can pronounce these fine the second until I get onto this podcast. Seo Do Duk, who is played by Sung Hoon, and who I will refer to as Sung Hoon because I'm in love with him. Anyway, he approaches her and asks her, "Why are you putting up with your family's bullshit? What can you seriously not see the way that your husband is clearly in love with your half sister or your stepsister? Can you clearly not see that
Mm.
they are using you and casting you aside? Why are you always bigging them up when they treat you like this?" And
Good
while she's
question.
reeling from what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I said very good question.
Oh, right. Yeah. No. 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 It's because she's a K drama heroine. Um, and she realizes that yeah, that he was right, that her husband is in love with this stepsister who denigrates her and what takes anything that she wants and takes her spotlight and things like that. And while she's reading from this, her family is exposed for art fraud, and her stepmother says that she did it. Um, she announces in front of like the press, "Oh, it was my adopted daughter. She did it all. It was all on her thing," and because Han Yu-ju is Han Yu-ju, instead of trying to confront or say, nah, she runs, and her stepmother phones her while she's in the car driving away, and it's going, "Come on, do this for the family. We'll see you right. Just take the blame. We're going to lose everything."
What?
And then she gets into a car crash
Of
and
course.
literally
Of
gets
course.
truck cooned. Like, freaking truck. I was like, there's just this moment when it comes out of nowhere and you're like, you did not. Anyway, she doesn't
Uh
immediately get sent back. While in the hospital, her stepmother comes in, unplugs her life support, and
what?
talks at her and villain monologues at her while she slowly dies, and then tells her assistant, "Right, plug the beepers back in after 10 minutes." to give her time to die slowly and in pain on her own. And I
What
believe that
the?
was the end of the first episode. But it's like, oh right, holy shit, okay. At this
Oh,
point,
I,
she goes back in time. Yiji awakes, I think it's a year before her disastrous marriage, with a white, shimmery wrist tattoo with the date that the accident happened on her wrist. She realizes that she's
oh,
not married to her awful husband yet. She therefore has not been financially torn apart by her mother-in-law and sister-in-law yet. Her family has not yet started to frame her for the art fraud and things like that. So she realizes she has this second chance, and her second chance is not, I want another chance at romance. It's, I'm going to take all these motherfuckers down. Every single one of these people who made my life miserable and treated me awfully, and like you find out as the show goes on just how badly she was treated, she is going to take them down. And at that point I went, oh, I do like you. It's okay. You weren't just going to
mm.
like be passive and take everything and be lovely
Like,
and
yes.
very sort of like the way that I would expect a C drama modern heroine to behave, not a K drama modern heroine to behave. No, she's there is a huge, and it's like there is absolutely a difference in her, and it's beautiful to see from an acting standpoint this actress go, no, fuck you guys, I'm done. So she finds out from her friend, who is Seo Doguk, or Sung Hoon's cousin, and
Mm.
she's like a journalist come like BuzzFeed type journalist type thing, and she finds out from her that he's going to have a blind date with her stepsister, and so goes up and walks up to this thing where he's sitting there going like, I did not agree to this blind date, I've been tricked into this, I'm not interested in you. She walks up and says, hey, date me instead. And he looks up at her with a way that like seriously only Sung Hoon can do,
Mm-hmm.
and goes, okay, here's a card to a hotel room, you want to come up to this hotel room? And she's like, you know what, fuck it, yeah, let's go. And so they walk out hand in hand, with her stepsister pulling a face you'll get very used to in the background, which is her, oh, this is so unfair face, which the actress does brilliantly. And whilst it does the triumphant strains of "We have Beyonce's Halo at Home, kids" plays over the music, because oh my goodness, it is very much influenced by, if not a rip-off of Halo. But it's this fantastic triumphant moment, and it's very indicative of how he will approach her in this show. It's very much a case of like, babe, what do you need? I will do whatever it is. You want me to do this? You want me to be here? You want me to dress up this way? Absolutely. And he addresses her and says, do you want me, or is this about revenge? And she says, it's about revenge. And he
Mm.
goes, okay, fine, I accept that.
That is going
Whatever
to
you
come
need,
back
I
and
just
bite her
wanted
in
to
the
hear it from
ass
you.
for story
Oh, God,
reasons.
it's so good.
I just
For
know,
story
like,
reasons.
I just know for story reasons. And just to give context
Uh,
to anybody listening, I have no idea about this show. But the way in which Ollie's talking about it, you better believe that I want to watch it. Um, but because I
I
have
mean,
zero
one
idea
of
or context.
so so they actually they get drunk together in this hotel room, and obviously her being, the girl, she gets drunk faster, and there's this moment where she thinks he's making a move on her, and he's actually just tying her hair back because she's super tipsy, and he's trying to get her hair back in a ponytail, and it's like, oh, this is
Oh,
female gaze right here. This is the female gaze on it. It's just perfect. So
oh.
they do various things I wanted to point out, talking about, sort of saying, oh, I know what's going to come into play because the way Holly's doing it. I have written the phrase Chekhov's fake engagement contract, because they do the whole engagement
Oh,
contract and then
we
it
love
just gets
it.
put in a drawer until it's needed later.
We love it.
um so and then so then this is
Convenient
the first few
plot
episodes.
purposes. Mm,
As
mm.
ever, if you want to go and watch this show and then come back to us talking about it, do so. That's the first couple of
Yes.
episodes and the setup. I'm not going to go into huge details on every single event, but from here on out, there are going to be spoilers of the major point. And while some of them, obviously, it's a romance show, you're going to spot the spoilers coming. If you want to go in
Yes.
spoiler free,
Yes.
this is the point to turn off. I have now given you enough time to do that. So yeah, so from now on in, it's about finding out just how awful her family are, and how complex his family relationship is, because they're rich people and thus they have to have a complex
Of
relationship.
course.
And her getting in with his family, winning over his mother, winning over his grandmother, who's the head of the company, and at the same time keeping her safe in an apartment that he already had, and he has not been living at home for years. And he says, "Look, I will move back in home so that you have this safe space. If you need somewhere, just use this place." And one of her big phobias is eating. She has an eating disorder because she was poisoned when she was a child. And I think they originally seemed to be setting it up that it was like she was being poisoned regularly. But it was like a specific time when her stepmother tried to kill her. And
Mm.
so she struggles eating any food that she hasn't made. And because she can't cook, that means like junk food and like pre-packaged food. So he'd taken her
See,
to a
and
restaurant and she'd
I
struggled.
appreciate. Sorry, Holly. I just want to put in
Go
there
ahead.
that I appreciate the fact that they gave that nod to her trauma, because
Mm,
sometimes, like, dramas, you always wonder, like, why do they not show the characters actively acting in a way that would be logical for, like, an actual
mm,
person who has been in that situation? Because if I was
exactly.
the one who did have that experience with her stepmother, I too would be
Mm-hmm.
terrified of cooking anything that, one, I did not prepare
Yeah,
myself, and two, I was not the one that personally picked every single ingredient. Like, even if it is I
exactly.
cooked it myself, you cannot just tell me that, oh, you know what, here is some mustard oil. I have to have been the one to go to the market
Yep,
myself to pick it
yep,
up and know that, yes, I picked up, because I would not be able to look like, ignore the fact that somebody was vile enough to come into my hospital
yeah,
room and turn off my life support
yep,
and wait for me to
yep,
slowly gasp out
yeah,
my last breath because she
yep,
wanted my death to be as painful as possible.
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
please continue.
No, it's fine. It's like, honestly, Noria, the way that they use food as a benchmark for how their relationship is progressing is done beautifully.
Mm,
Like the first time, just after they have sex for the first time, and he puts the food down in front of her, and before he can do what he normally does, which is take a mouthful in front of her so she can see it's not poisoned, he's eating it too, which is what they've been doing throughout the show. Like, even if they go to other like when they were at their family's house, he's reaching out in front of her and being like, "Oh yeah, this is good, you should have some of this," kind of thing, and like visibly tasting the food for her so that she could feel relaxed. And the first time she takes a mouthful of like this like mixed rice that he's done and eats it, the look on his face, Noria, oh god, they played it
oh,
perfectly. Like, they really gave it the weight that it deserved, and like
oh,
the emotional investment that it deserved. So I yeah I God so yeah, whilst this goes on, you find out all these awful things that they did to her. Her Okay, sorry, my brain just went like, how, which bit do I talk about first? One of the main themes in this show is
mhm,
being adopted, being a blood relative, out will out, whether you're a good person comes from your family and things like that, which is deeply
mm,
problematic, and is still dealt with in a way that you're going, okay, but did you have to have it turn out that the evil person also came from a bad bloodline and things like that? And like, why? And then there's a
mm,
huge like emphasis of, oh, I shouldn't have treated her like that because it turns out she was my real daughter. Bitch, you shouldn't have treated her like that because you had adopted a child
period.
into your home. Yeah.
Yes.
There is a theme carried forward from the last show, Noria, which is men getting off scot free, or very very lightly when the women
Ugh.
get public punished. Now, absolutely, in this show, it's the stepmother who is fucking evil. She tried to have her killed as a baby and her mother killed. When she found out she was still alive, she brought her into the house so that she could control her and keep an eye on her, and basically have that whole abusers thing of like somebody to abuse, and take out the punishment, of because she was actually the husband's first child. But the husband is an absolute shit, and like halfway through, the stepmother turns on him as well, and it's like, you're gonna fucking forgive him, aren't you? You bastard show. You're actually going to try and make me think that it's acceptable that he gets off without going to prison and without, losing everything. I don't like this. This is a pattern that has happened, and I thought better of you, Korea. I expect this shit from China, but so like there's a lot of like, oh, you're not his real daughter, and that's why you're evil, kind of thing, and like the evil Sung Hoon's evil half brother is somebody who walks with a cane, and it turns out at the end that he was faking it the whole time to get
So,
attention. And it's like, on the one hand, okay, so the only disabled person in your show, it turns out he
is
isn't
the
disabled and
villain, but
evil, but on the
also a
other hand,
liar. Is
yeah,
also a
but
liar.
yeah,
He's not really disabled.
he's a
Like
lie
doesn't
about it.
really have
But
disabilities.
yes, but also it's like, it's that combination of like, on the one hand, the only representation of it you have in the show is as a villainous thing, but secondly, you hold that whole, maybe you should question somebody if they have a limp, maybe they're putting it on for attention, kind of thing. It's like, is that really a message you want in your show? Especially a show that does so
Yeah.
well with, again, as we said, her anxieties, her eating disorder. He has is it thalassophobia, fear of bodies of water, and he does a
Mm.
bloody good couple of panic attacks, which is someone with anxiety disorder. I'm like, yeah, you nailed it. Either this actor has had panic attacks, or he really went in on studying for the role and making sure he did it properly.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm like,
But also at
you
the
can't
same
overdose
time,
Grocery Boy.
I also wonder if it's not more of a case of, unfortunately, we cannot get everything with regards representation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this for those that are listening, that like, it's not real saying that we should, settle for whatever we get. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that if you've watched old K dramas and you
Mm-hmm.
watch the more modern ones, I can actually
Mm-hmm.
see how the writers, the creators, the directors are actively using dramas
Mm-hmm.
to teach a populace to unlearn certain things and certain
Yes.
stances, and like their perception of certain things.
Mm-hmm.
They are slowly coming around, right? And so, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? The way in which dramas would have depicted disability, especially, like with anxieties and phobias, the way in which they would
Mm-hmm.
have shown trauma, it's vastly different. And so,
Yeah.
even though I'm like, yeah, I want more, but I also want to say I recognize the leap, the progress, how
Definitely,
far,
there is progress.
K dramas have come with that
Mm-hmm.
regard. But please
It
continue.
was very much a case of like, just as a heads up, just again, because that's something that can really jar someone. And it's something that I noticed from like having like physical and mental disabilities and stuff, and like, it's something that I've always noticed in TV shows and stuff when they use that as a you know disability coding villains. But as you said, it is getting much better, and it's not too bad. And the guy is still a very attractive man. He's a very good actor. He does the slide
Mm.
from sulky to genuinely evil very well, very believably. But yeah, no, I got tangled in myself. It's just one of those things where I'm like, just keep an eye out for it, just in case it is something that is a big no for you. It's yeah. I'm repeating myself now. I'm going to talk about something nice
Mm.
instead.
Mm.
I'm going to talk about, massive spoiler here. So it turns out,
Okay.
and it's quite obvious from partway through, that he is in a loop as well. They both went back to a year before. And I quite
Oh,
liked
are
the
they
way
both
that they
aware?
deal.
Are they
Okay, so
both
he's
aware?
aware
Like,
from
no,
very
so we
soon.
know she's aware,
No.
but is he aware
She
that
it does not know that she does not know that he is in a loop. He realizes very soon, because she starts saying things like, "I know I can give you stock options that haven't happened yet, stock market stuff, as that's how I'm bringing to the table in this fake marriage, is I know stuff that's going to
Oh, but
happen."
he already
Um,
knows because he too went back, but she does not know that he
he
knows
too
that
went back.
he went back.
Exactly.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay, 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 okay.
So, and they deal very well with like, not with because trust obviously is such a huge theme in this show, and in her relationship, they have like half an episode where she goes, "Okay, why didn't you tell me?" And having that moment, and you understand with the performance, with what has gone before, that she's going, "Is he just another person who is lying to me?" Especially when you
Mm.
love someone to the extent that she has come to love him, and she's like, "Am I wrong? Have I set myself up again?" but she doesn't go melodramatic with it, and she doesn't like shut him out of her life. And like I think they do it really well, that whole I need to take a step back but we're still a couple kind of thing. They do that really, really well. I have one gripe with that, is like throughout the thing, is like when I'm going, I bet he went back too. I wanted him to have been on like his third or fourth loop. And there are a few suggestions, like, and maybe it's just because Sung Hoon is so good at portraying passion, is that he really portrayed the fact that he'd been in love with her for a long time and was having to hold back the response of wanting to hold her, wanting to be close
Damn.
to her and stuff.
Once
and
again,
and
I
and
repeat,
like, as
you're
well as the
making
sexual
me
stuff.
really, really want to watch this drama.
It's really good.
Oh,
It's really
okay.
good. I will let you watch it when you've watched all the rest of your homework. But yeah, so like, and he sort of says, "You have no idea how long I've been in love with you," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, multiple loops, multiple loops," because
Oh,
the reason that he had fallen in love with her, though, is because way before they met, he saw a painting of hers that had been sold by her stepmother without her knowing to make money into the US market, and he was studying abroad. And so he talks about how he fell in love with the artist of this painting and then basically started cyber stalking her and then like trying to
oh
follow
my
who she
God.
was. And it kind of takes what could have been a desperate man who has lost the woman he loved over
Yes,
and
because
over
I'm
again
like,
and is
how did they
trying
go?
to
How did
save
they?
her.
Oh, so they went from
Yeah.
creepy
So
to
that's
heroic.
the thing. It's like it's not portrayed as creepy at all. It's right in the last episode. He goes through all this stuff, like that's how he found out about her. And that's why he was so passionate about her when he met her and was like, "Why are you letting your family treat you like this?" And I just feel that if he had been on multiple loops, that would have made sense. That he'd gone for
Yes,
another loop without managing to get her, and he knew the time
and
was
that
coming up,
became
and it
like
was driving him
him being
crazy.
frustrated. Ah, that makes
Exactly.
sense. That
But
makes so much
instead,
sense.
it's a case of like, "Oh my God, I follow you on YouTube and I think you're amazing and now we're going to be married." Which is just,
No,
it just takes it out. It's like, "Okay, honey, okay, you're gorgeous and everything, but no, this is parasocial. This is not what I wanted." So like, it's one of those things where like, the series is amazing and it's worth watching it for Sung Hoon. It is not going to be my top 100, sorry, we were top 100. It's not going to be top 10, I don't think, of my shows because of that, because I really wished they'd had him wish they'd had him in more pain. No, wish they'd had like that kind of a backup, that he'd already been through the loop, that he had watched her die more than once, and that would put more
mm,
tension on the scenes where her stepmother, spoilers again, is trying to kill her and have her murdered, and like he is like trying to race to the point where she is to try and save her, and that just puts so much more depth on it if it's like time and time again this woman has slipped through his hands, but he won't give up on her, and he won't give up on trying to make sure that she is happy. So yeah, it's one of those things where like it's the monkey's paw curling. It's like I understand why they did the things they did, but also I wish they'd done the things that I wanted them to do. I'm just having a quick look at my notes to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Something I like is like nobody in this is stupid. You know, as I bitched at length in Lady Revenger, there's a lot of the
mm,
characters who just they have to be stupid for the plot's sake, even if they were clever for the
yeah,
plot's sake last episode. This show is really good at consistently presenting intelligent people who are maybe selfish people, who are maybe evil people, but they're on each other's level. So you get moments where something is revealed about her, how her family treated her, the fact that they imprisoned her in her room, the fact that she was poisoned, and his family
mm,
doesn't go, "Oh well, she's just saying that, she's whatever." They go, "Okay, we'll look into this." And like there are a couple of moments where they have blind spots because they're trying to keep equality between the two sons, but at no point is this family being stupid for the sake of the plot. Unfortunately, that also
mm.
goes for the villain side. Is like sometimes that you like, "Yay, we've made a win," and then the villainess is like, "Oh, but I have this up my sleeve." And you're like, "Shit, it
Yeah,
makes
because
sense
they
that
are
you would
not
have that. Damn
stupid.
it!"
Because it's
Exactly.
logical, right? If everybody is smart,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden, because for them to have been able to spring that trap on her, and it's been established
Mm-hmm.
that she's not a stupid person, then it
Mm-hmm.
automatically goes to show that the people that would have pulled that off are really
Yep.
smart people. So it
Yeah.
only makes sense that, they of
Ruthless
course
people,
would
but smart
also,
people.
yeah.
I
I
will say
hate
as
it
well
when,
is like
like,
there's a few
the story
times the
forces the
step.
villains to be stupid, because I'm like,
Yeah,
come on.
and it's like it's for anybody who has been bullied by women, like not physically bullied but emotionally, mentally bullied by women, will definitely have moments in the show where they're like, oh, that's real. Oh, that's real. I remember that kind
Yeah.
of manipulation bullshit. Like they do it really, really well. But as somebody who does get triggered very easily by that stuff, it's melodramatic enough that you should be okay. Like
Okay.
you will absolutely be like, oh my god, this woman reminds me of my bully, but you won't be like, okay, I need to turn all the lights on and rock in a corner for a little bit. Which other shows have done to me, where I'm like, oh, that's too close, because she is
Mm,
absolutely like Jeremy Irons levels of chewing the scenery. It's
mm.
and like her face constantly twitching and moving. It makes it very easy to remember that this is a TV show. The only other thing I really, really want to bring up without forgetting is Do Yu, who plays Kim Jae Won, who is he has a reveal later on, but he's the assistant to Evil Woman, who ends up on
Yeah.
the good guy's side partway through. Firstly, I wanted him to be on a loop as well. He wasn't, and I was kind of disappointed because it makes his actions not make sense. It like there's character stuff where it's like, well, why did you make this decision? Why did you do that when
Mm.
you did that kind of thing? He's the only person with a little, and I almost wonder if it's because they started writing the show, they cast him, and they were like, oh, we want him to be a good guy, so he has a bigger
Is
role,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
there's stuff that he does that could have been done by other characters very easily, and I don't blame them.
Mm.
I want to see that actor in more. Very good actor, gorgeous, and one of those who moves who's very good at moving like a dangerous person. And I would love to see him as an emperor or as a general, or as you know, when they have like I can't remember the name of it, the guy who's in charge of torturing criminals, when they'll have romance dramas
Uh-huh.
in C dramas where he'll be a lead,
Mm-hmm,
something like
mm-hmm.
that. You know, somebody who's ruthless but ends up being in a ship. I would love to see him in more stuff. I am gonna look out more stuff because yeah, fantastically good looking, very good actor. His character didn't make a huge amount of sense. So
Mm-hmm.
if you forget what he does in the first episode, it's fine. It's just like the first episode doesn't then make sense after the leap, unless he was in a loop as well. And yeah, there's a few bits where I reckon it's either that when what it was originally written as changed, because like for webtoons, for example, I don't know if it was based on a webtoon. Because they can change as they're writing because they take so long to draw and to write. It feels a little bit like this. It feels like whoever was writing it changed their mind on a couple of things, and I completely understand that as a writer. It's still very, very good. Would it have been as good with a lesser cast? No.
Mm.
Although the writing is
Mm.
very, very strong, this cast is absolutely superb top to bottom. The useless boyfriend has this entitled ugh face that he pulls when anything goes not his way, and I wanted to punch this boy until there was nothing left of his face. Like, I know with the guy in the double, it was a case of like, no, you are evil, I want you dead. With this, like, it was just like, I just want to slap you until you stop being entitled. Which again, exactly what the character needed. Very, very irritating. But yeah, that's kind of my review of it so far. I haven't gone into a huge amount of details of the ins and outs, so there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
still left to watch.
Mm,
I do
mm,
recommend
mm.
it. I do. I think it's not possibly the starter one. I think if you're going to start on a K drama, start on My Secret
Yeah.
Romance, which also has Sung Hoon in it. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, that I think is as much as I'm going to say outside of discussion, because otherwise I'm just going to be like, oh my god, and there was this bit. Oh my god, and there was this bit, and we're going to run out of time.
Okay. But I do have a question with regards.
Yes.
Would you say it's a show that, you got into, like, maybe that, like, that would have you hooked by like the first max second episode? Or does it really take a little bit of time for you to get into his stride?
Second episode, yes. First episode, no. I actually watched the first one and then stopped for ages. And I think if I
Oh.
hadn't been doing this podcast, I don't think I would have gone back to it, because she is
Mm.
so nice and so passive and so sweet. And I thought she was going to be like that for the whole show. And I was like, I can't, no, I just can't. I can't deal with this right now. But I'm glad that I went back to it because it is a fantastic show. And as a lover of romance in all its forms, except actually having it myself, watching
Mm-hmm.
these two actors portray the story of trust and everything like that throughout, it really does make it. And the character arcs do make sense, but oh my god, she's annoying in the first episode. I mean, like, annoying in that very much like, oh my god, honey, I've told you to break up with your boyfriend. Why are you still with him? Why do you even ask me about your relationship when you won't break up with him? Kind of friend, you know?
Mm. 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 Mm.
So yeah, I think stick with it. It's worth stick with it. The first episode is very dreary, but it's meant to be because it's a melodrama.
Yeah. And it's also meant to show just how badly things are in
Mm,
like the future if she does not go back if she does not go back to the past and make
yeah.
visibly different choices to get her to somewhere better. So you need to know
It's
how
one of
terrible things can get so that you are
yeah,
invested in
yeah,
her
it's one of the things
choosing
that they
different.
say when you're writing a romance is that the first chapter is supposed to establish the world that the character lives in, and then at the end of the chapter you're meant to break it. Like something is meant to come in and shatter
Mm.
that, either for the better or for the worse.
Yeah, but
So yeah,
it's
they
not
do
even
that very
just
well.
romance, it's just like writing in general. Like even if it is
Mm,
that you're writing you know, a medieval fantasy type novel, the
mm-hmm,
expectation is that you really need to give people an understanding of what the base state is for your protagonist
mm-hmm,
and then
yeah,
absolutely ruin it very terribly badly because that is when you
mm-hmm,
get a story. That's when you have a
yeah.
story. To be fair. Um
But yes,
so
recommended.
yeah, highly recommended. Okay. And honestly, with all that you've said about it, I am very invested and interested
Mm-hmm.
in watching it.
I I
Because
think
it
you will
sounds
enjoy
really
it. I
good.
will let you watch it. I will let you watch it in between seasons, so because you have homework to watch. But yes, I am actually very curious to see if I will feel the same way about yours because I believe that your one is
Hmm.
more family based than romance based.
Yeah.
But then I read like a paragraph about what it was about to make sure that it still fit the episode title. So yeah, so I'm interested because I tend to only watch romances. So I am curious to see if you can win me over to the side of non romance dramas kind of thing.
Right? Because the drama I chose is a non romance drama.
Hmm.
The drama I am going to talk about now is a non romance drama. And honestly, if you had told me that I was going to enjoy the story as much as I do, I would have been like, nah. But then to be fair, I do like Korean dramas that are just that talk about everyday living outside of
Uh huh.
romances. To give
Hmm.
context, Miseng, that's Misaeng, is one of my
Yeah.
absolutely favorite dramas of all time. Like one of my absolute favorite K dramas of all time. Right?
Is that
I
the one about like the three siblings
no
who
no no no
all?
no no.
Is that the one the three? No,
Wait, what? With three siblings who what?
the three siblings who all end up getting breaking up with their other halves at the same time and move back home.
No 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 no. Miseng
No.
is an office drama. It's an office. It's
Uh
a
huh.
2014 K drama. And
Uh huh.
I think it was the first time I saw Im Siwon in a drama. That was his first drama, and it
Uh huh.
was just. We are not here to talk about Miseng, but Kang
Hmm.
Sora, Im Siwon, Lee Sung Min. It's just Miseng is if you want to have an idea of a drama that speaks to the truth of office life, the highs, the
Uh huh.
lows, the trying to understand how to navigate office politics, but in a way that feels very gritty and down to earth, that is Miseng. There is not a
Okay.
smidgen of romance in that drama at all,
Hmm.
but it is still a heartfelt drama that I absolutely adore and love
Hmm.
to bits. Now, the reason why I mentioned Miseng is because the drama I read or I watched, right, is I Buy Mama. And I know people are probably looking at that title and are like, what in the boring ass title is that? But hear me out. If you are ready for a good cry, if you're ready for a story that speaks to the roller coaster, bittersweet feeling of life itself, then you love this drama. I think it's a drama that is not about the romance, but it's actually about life. Life, us taking it for granted, what we do when we find out that we no longer have it, how the people that are around us, how do they survive? How do they move on after we are gone? So before I go into like the themes and proper, let me just give a fairly quick synopsis of the story. I'll try to be brief. This is a 16 episode drama, by the way. Each episode averages about an hour, 15 minutes. The last episode is like an hour, 20 something, 30 minutes tops. So it's a good chunk of time, but you can probably finish like if you sit down and have a full weekend to yourself, just grab your tissues, grab your comfort food because you're going to need it. So, the story begins with two people. These two men, right? Okay, first and foremost, the love of my life. And yes, I have I have a lot of loves in K dramas, but Kim Tae-hee has been one of my absolutely favorite like actresses ever since we saw her in Iris. I know that she was big in Young Pal, but I know a lot of people did not like Young Pal. I actually really really enjoyed Young Pal because I actually find Ju-won a very compelling actor. But like I watched her in Iris, I watched her in Young Pal. I think my very first ever Kim Tae E drama was My Princess, because she's beautiful.
Oh
She's
yeah,
just
yeah.
ethereal. I found her very ethereal. So we basically start I Buy Mama with um Jo Kangwa, right? Kangwa is played by Lee Kyung Young. And so we have Kangwa, and we have his bestie Gyun Sang, Gyun Sang, who is played by Oyuk Sik. Oyushik and sorry, I keep saying Oyushik. Sorry. Gyeongsang and Kangwa are two medical students. The drama starts with Gyeongsang being all like, come on, you have to go, let's go have a great time and all of that, right? His bestie is Kangwa. Kangwa is like, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't know about you, but I do not want to fail my exams and courses. I just want to go back and study, because he's the stereotypical nerd, but he's
Relatable.
a
Yeah.
doofus, but he's a nerd. But I'm like, I get it. Like, you're a medical student, right? And then his bestie, Gyunsang, is like, come on, you need to go out, blah, blah, blah. Like, my girlfriend's friend is around, which explains why Kangwa is not interested, because this is a double date that is meant to be a blind date for him. His bestie's girlfriend, our own bestie. So, like, his bestie's girlfriend wants to set him up with her own best friend. And he's like, this is messy. This is stupid. I am not interested. But Gyunsang is like, I'm gonna grab your bag. You're going to have to follow me. And so he drags his friend. His friend is grumbling. Like, Kangwa is like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm not interested in this, right? And Gyunsang is like, you need to come. Okay, come and watch football, because they're going to go and watch a match, right? It's like, come and watch football. It's clearly is the World Cup match South Korea is playing. It's like, come and watch football with me, let's go and all of that. And he drags them. Now, on the other end, at the bar, we have his own partner, Go Young Jung, who is, by the way, I need to point out, she's older than everybody, and I love me a Nuna romance so bad. So bad. Like, Nuna romances always make me happy. So Go Young Jung, who is Young Sang's girlfriend, is played by Shin Dong Min. I'm mentioning everybody's name, one, because I think that the performances in this drama is top. Like, the reason why you're going to be bawling your eyes out is because these characters are acting like rent is due, like their life depends on it. even down to the fucking baby. And that is saying a lot because even the
Yeah.
child, even the babies are doing like emotional lifting with regards to the acting. So,
If a child manages to not be
Dongmi,
irritating, they deserve to get a nod.
I'm telling you, all the nods, all the nods. Okay, so Hyun Jung is Hyun Jung is over here trying to convince her own best friend Chayuri. Chayuri is the one played by love of my life Kim Tae Kim Tae. She's trying to convince Chayuri, like, come on, just meet this guy. He's cute. Is this? Is that? Chayuri is like, I don't want to. And our own bestie is like, just we're here. Let's just watch the football match. You see the guy. And so this is at the point where Kangwa is brought into the scene. And it is literally love at first sight, right? He sees Yuri, she sees him, their eyes lock, it is sparks and everything. They have this well-willed romance, like the show documents, like it's once again, this is, the slightly grainy, slightly dark. You know that this is a flashback scene because it's given the same photo filter that they put in Reply 1994 and 1988. If you ever watched the Reply series, if you've never watched the Reply series, by the way, and you're listening to this, you need to. The Reply series are my favorite K-drama series of all time. Everybody needs to watch 1997, 1994, and 1988. And please let me know, 1994, were you team trash like Sergei or were you Chilbungi? Just tell me which of the two. But anyway, sorry, back to the main and I'm saying 1994 because there was actually Reply 1994 mention in this drama, which is another reason why I love this fucking show. I'm telling you. So, we basically, the flashback does quick clips and cuts of their entire relationship, their first anniversary, their second, their first fight, how, he comes back to beg her and she's like, why are you apologizing? And he does that thing where, he actually has no idea what he did wrong, but he's just saying he's sorry. And she's hitting his head with the flowers he got her. And it's so cute, and all of that. And, they have plans for, they're going to have together, they're going to grow old together, blah, blah, blah. And then we flash to present day. You see a little girl who was playing with toys and, she wants to pack up and pick up stuff. And she picks this, would I call it the socket? The fuse. Is it a fuse or is it called the socket?
Yeah.
It's called the socket or is it fuse?
Socket. The fuse is the little thing inside that is meant to stop it going bzzzt. The plug socket is the thing that you...
The plug socket is what you plug into.
The socket is the thing in the wall.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Socket is the thing that receives it and the plug is what you plug into it. So she carries the plug of this electrical device. Please note that this plug just was sitting in water. Now, as somebody who has been electrocuted as a child, because I was like, my parents were like, my uncle was like, do not touch that. That would electrocute you. And as a child, you go like, but what does that mean? And so you decide to touch it. So yes, I have been electrocuted as a child. But there's a difference between...
a stovetop. That's hot, don't touch it. Then I touched it anyway.
Then you touch it anyway. Now, there's a difference between when you do it when you're younger and when you're seeing a character, a child, look like they're about to do it in the show. Like, because you want to jump into the TV and be like, girl, no. And so she's going closer and closer and closer to the socket, about to be electrocuted to... This girl is like probably 4 years old. We see Chayuri, that's Kim Tae-hee's character. She's screaming, no! And she's trying to stop her child from being electrocuted and turning into fried baby. But then her hand goes through her. I'm sorry, I should not have said that. because this is a sad thing. But her hand goes through her. And that is when you realize that, I'm sorry, what? She's dead? Yes, she's dead. And then Oh Min Young, who is played by Kobyo Gyeol, who is... Bogyul is amazing in this role. So Min Young shows up and stops the catastrophe, and he's like, no, why are you doing all of this, blah blah blah. She carries the baby, and she's like, so you shouldn't do this, blah blah blah. Sits down. And all this while we have Chayuri, who is berating Min Young. She's like, why would you have left the electrical current there? She could have been electrocuted. Don't you understand? Babies always do blah blah blah. But she's a ghost. So she's having all this conversation, and Chayuri is not, sorry, Chayuri. Min Young can't hear her. Sowo can't hear her. Or at least we think Sowo can't hear her.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things is adding extra comedy, because this show does have very, like, has a lot of comedic moments to it, right?
Yeah.
And I know if you're listening, you're like, Bonoria, you said that this is a get the tissues. Yes, because you will need the tissues, because what the show does is it balances the levity of living with the pain of living, because it tries
Mm-hmm.
to show
Well
us
put.
that comedy and pain are a two part of the human experience. You're going to get both, and you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
them in a lot, like a large amount of time, like bountifully in the show, right? So, like I said, she has all these little moments. We see Chayuri follows her daughter. Chayuri follows her daughter to school. She's talking and all of that. She's basically following Min Young and Sowo. And so we find out that Chayuri's husband, the one that she had all the happy moments, happy time with as Kangwa, remarried. He married Min Young. And together they are raising Sowo, who at the moment is clearly uh being raised by her father and her stepmother. And she's going to school, but she's going there, you realize, or we realize, that Sowo is a very quiet child. She's very into herself. But when you also
Mm-hmm.
see her family life, like the way in which Min Young and her father, the way in which they all interact with each other, it feels very quiet. It feels very
Mm-hmm.
cold, right? And this is important because of the fact that it's a direct contrast to um um it's a direct it's a direct contrast to Yuri's exuberance, like because she's right beside them, right? And
Yeah.
also it's a direct contrast to the Kangwa we meet in the flashbacks, because
Yeah.
then you start thinking that, oh, okay, this is very interesting with how exactly he's playing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are going all of this. She's following them to school. So what goes on to the bus, and then they are the mothers. They are the mothers around, the other preschooler mothers who initially are doing that gossipy thing where they seem like they want to be extra friendly to Min Young, but because she
Mm-hmm.
ignores them and, like, goes on her own way, they start gossiping about her, talking about how,
Yeah, because
so whoa,
mothers
that's
be
the
mothers.
baby, because mothers, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
because mothers be mothers. So they start gossiping about her and then talking about how Sowo the baby is a very strange child. Which,
Mm.
of course, Ghost Yuri is upset because she's like, stop talking that way about my baby. My baby is not strange. My baby is not odd,
Mm.
right? And then you have another. That's when we then pan to Hyun Jung, and we find out because Hyun Jung's baby apparently also goes to the same preschool. And Yeonjung is right there, right? So Minyoung, please know that Yeonjung is Chayuri's best friend, the one that set up her best friend with her boyfriend's own best friend, right? I'm giving all this context so you understand, because all of these women, like, they intertwine in this story. So she
Mm.
overhears the conversation and basically tells these mothers to mind their business. They are all
Good
like,
girl.
well, we're not saying anything. We just, want to be kind and all of that. But it's still bullshit, because, when mothers are being mean and are hiding it underneath the, oh, well, we don't really mean any harm. We're just, trying
We're just concerned for
we
the
just worry
child.
about this. Exactly. We're just concerned for the
Mm-hmm.
child, because their own point is that the stepmother Min Young has put the baby girl in a lot of different activities, like she's in language class, she's doing art classes, she's doing ballet, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
read it or interpret it as, oh, it's clear that the stepmother does not like her stepdaughter, and so therefore has decided to put her in a lot of classes in order to have her out of the home, which, you know, um, the dead mother, Chayuri, like, is telling us, the audience, basically telling us, but,
Mm-hmm.
she's talking to herself about how that is false, because once again, she's a ghost. She lives with them, so she knows exactly the kind
Yeah.
of person that her daughter's stepmother is, and she understands that Min Young is a very nice person. Now, but that's beyond that, right? So her ex-husband, right? Kangwa is a doctor now. His best friend, Gyeonsang, is also a doctor, but Kangwa is a cardiologist that has stopped going into surgery. He only sees outpatients. This is important because the disciplinary action meted out to him by his hospital is a consistent part of the story, because we find out that due to the events of what led to Chayuri's death, he has never, and that's why I said that I love how K dramas are really actively depicting trauma. He cannot
Yeah.
stay in an operation theater. He can't stay in a theater anymore. He can't do surgery anymore.
Yeah.
Because every time he's put in that situation, it flashes back to him holding his wife who died on the operating table.
Yeah. PTSD's a bitch.
So, exactly. So, like, trauma means he cannot do that. Trauma means he's terrified. Trauma means that he cannot, no matter how much it is that everybody wants him to get out of it. And even his friend has been covering him for years, because remember, she died. And here is to give you all further context. Chayuri died in labor. We find out later in the
Oh,
story
she
that
died of Disneyitis.
yes, she died of Disneyitis, right? But it was not even really. So what happened was that, because
Was it raining as well? Was there a car involved?
it was not even raining. It was not raining. There was a car involved. So she was so the episode where we explore how she died, it tells us about how we take every day for granted. And that's one of the themes that this drama does so well. It's a reminder that you do not know what tomorrow is. You only know today. Never assume that I can do it tomorrow. Never assume that you're going to get tomorrow, because the only time you're certain of is the present. The future is always uncertain. So the day in which she passes, there's breaking news on the TV, on the television, about how, a building caught fire and some of the residents are dead and all of that. And neither she nor her husband are paying attention to it, right? She promises that she's going to see him soon. She's on a call with her mother as she's walking, like she's waiting for the lights to go green so that she can cross the intersection. And then one piece of shit dumbass who is impatient, because, like, they never fuck things up for themselves, always for other people. That one refuses to wait for the pedestrian lights to turn green, and instead dives into traffic because he's in such a hurry. Which means that the driver, like, swerves to avoid hitting him and loses control and hits her waiting on the curb. She's at this point, she's pregnant. She's like a week to her delivery. Her best friend just gave birth. Right. That's why Hyun Jung's son is in the same preschool as Sowo. So she's like a week to delivery. The car comes in and hits her. And that scene is just heartbreaking because she's holding her baby. And all she's doing is praying that someone save her and someone save her baby. And later episodes, because once again, like I said, the show plays with flashbacks and present day. And there's a flashback where after Hyun Jung, that's the bestie, after she has a baby, our own husband, Yeon Sang, is telling Kangwa that, Kangwa would not know what it feels like to be a father just yet, because, he's a father a week ahead, because they were all making fun of him that he's crying. He was crying. He was like, I'm a father now. My baby boy is amazing. And he's just crying. And his wife is like, boy, put yourself together. And because once again, it's a Nuna romance whereby she protects him and he's a big baby. He's also a psychiatrist, by the way. So, they had that conversation and all of that. Kangwa and Chayuri have this whole conversation of, okay, when our baby is born, like they made a bet, right? And then she was like, I know you're going to cry buckets. And he's like, now, I'm going to take a bet with you. I know you're going to cry buckets. And then they go back and forth. And then they make the bet that whoever cries at the birth of their baby is the one that loses. And so there's a flashback scene where Chayuri is lying on the, like, she retains consciousness. She regains consciousness briefly
Mm-hmm.
on the operating table when she hears her baby cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then we pan to that moment of her crying, and then she
Mm-hmm.
closes her eyes and flatlines.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Kangwa takes a second to, because remember, she dies just as they have the baby, right? So it takes a moment to step away from the funeral to go and see his baby in the, NICU, right? Like the, for the infants, for like for infant cares, right? So they hold up his
Mm-hmm.
baby and he looks at her, and you see him absolutely devastated and wrecked, but he does not shed a single tear. His eyes are like absolutely devastated, but not a single tear. So of
Mm.
course that means that Chayuri lost their bet. But sorry, I did a diversion thing. Oh God, I keep doing a diversion thing. This drama makes me cry so much. But okay, let me come back. Let me come back on track and
Sorry, I
just
should have
like
got you tissues. Do
thank you. Let me come back on track and just talk about this drama, right?
you want me
So,
to talk about something? Do you want
we
me to talk about something to give you a break?
no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm
You're
fine.
right.
Sorry.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm perfectly fine. I can continue, right? So, when it is that like I said, Kangwa has refused to do any surgery. In fact, all his outpatients that have heart issues, because he's a cardiologist. So they send him
Yeah.
like patients with heart issues, and all he does is like, okay, diagnose, and then, oh, this particular surgeon is going to be the one to do your surgery, right? And
Mm-hmm.
his own boss is like, what is wrong with you? It's been 4 years. You cannot call yourself a cardiothoracic surgeon and never fucking operate. You need to be like, that is why you're employed in this
Yeah.
hospital,
You want to
right?
be a
But he
GP? Go
ignores.
and be a GP.
Exactly, right? But he ignores that. He comes back home. As he comes back home, Chayuri is telling him everything that happened. Oh, so what almost got electrocuted. This and this happened. That happened. Those are annoying
Mm-hmm.
ass women. Of course, he cannot hear her because he's just going about his everyday life, right? Also, that brief moment in the hospital, we meet our bestie, right? Our psychiatrist bestie, who is married to Young Jung, that's Ye-sung, meets a baseball star, an athlete who is like, oh, that athlete is so cool, look at his watch, blah blah blah, because Ye-sung likes to do, he has like over 100,000 followers on his Chinese, I say Chinese, Korean version of Instagram, and everybody's following him. And the whole point about it is that, like, the nurses are like, how on earth, you, a boring ass doctor, how do you have over 100,000 followers? And it's like, oh, because he likes to just post outfit of the day. And that is all he does. He takes pictures
Yeah.
of his outfit, crops off his head, and just shows his fit. And people are following him for the fit, right? But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that was his interest in the base, because it was like, oh my God, imagine if I could like get that watch to match with my outfit. Everybody will lose their mind. I can imagine what I'm going to pair it with. And you're looking at him and you're like, boy, you have a job. Focus on your job. But the reason why I bring that out is because, like,
There is a
the reason
completely
why I bring that
broken person right there.
right there. But the reason why I bring it up is that, like, shortly after that, the next scene, we see the crematorium, which, for K dramas, is the place where, they put the buried ashes for the dearly departed, and then there are pictures, and you
Mm-hmm.
put flowers and stuff, just places where the family can come to. And that is where all the spirits and all the ghosts show up. Because remember the baseball player with the great
Mm-hmm.
watch? Turns out on the news announces that, oh, apparently there was some scandal with Fixing, and he committed suicide. So he's the new person there, and all the ghosts are there. They're all like, looking and talking about him. And then you find out that all of these ghosts, all of them, none of them have decided to, like, none of them have agreed to let their spirit pass on. And you have the
Mm-hmm.
shaman who is looking after them, and it's like, you all need to go. You cannot keep staying here. You're not going to get reincarnated, right? New spirits are not being born because your asses are refusing to go. Like, it's life itself is a
Mm-hmm.
cycle. People die and people are born, but you all are refusing to go. And all of them are giving her different reasons. Like, explanations as to why they cannot go. One woman said it's because her daughter has cancer. Another one said that, he's waiting for his son to die. And then you find out that that is an entire family scam, in that, please know that this is since the Joseon era. Their ancestor is still around. Their ancestor in the Joseon era was like, he wants to wait for his son to grow up. He wants to go with his son. When that son died, that son said that he was waiting for his son to die. When that son died, that son said he was waiting for his son to die. And that is it. You have like fucking like
sneaky bastards,
10
I love you.
sons. Sneaky. None of them are going. And then the Joseon ancestor is always rude to like the youngest son's wife. Because remember, hyper conservative traditionalist, things that I can boss around. And that one, the wife is just like, Aboji, I'm sorry. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Mister, fucking go and get reincarnated. And he's saying no. So all of this is giving drama because none of the spirits want to go back. And that is inclusive of Chayuri. And everybody understands why Chayuri doesn't want to go back, because she never even got the chance to hold her daughter. She never got the chance to hold her child or comfort her child. And this comes in very important because the shaman warns her that the baby means that like baby spirits are very, very weak. And so therefore, it doesn't make any sense for you to stay. But she's still staying, right? If every time it's her birthday. So, sorry, our daughter's birthday is the day of her own death, which means that her husband can never find himself available to celebrate his daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
Because he's still mourning the loss of his wife. And her parents, right? And her parents have been avoiding their granddaughter. Because, and this, we find out in later episodes that the reason for this is because her grandmother is like, their former son-in-law has remarried. And that she does not want it to be that Sowo would see the new woman as a stepmother, right? Because to her, she's going to be confusing the baby if the baby is like, this is my mother and this is my grandmother, but this my grandmother is not my mother's mother, because this my mother is not my biological mother. So she is doing it she's trying to protect her granddaughter, which is breaking our own heart, right? It's breaking our own heart. It's breaking her husband's heart, because then they have to like stalk social media. And then every time they see their granddaughter, they have to like go around in circles. And they had to do that because their son-in-law attempted suicide several times after his wife died, because it was like, he cannot keep living. And they're like, you cannot do that because you have a daughter. Chayuri's daughter cannot be raised by someone else when you're here. It's unfair to you for you to kill yourself. Right? Yeah. And so it's just, it breaks you, because you find out that everybody is stuck and they're not moving forward. And it is symbolic of her also being a ghost and being stuck and not moving forward. Because humans are not moving and ghosts are not moving, and they're like reflective of each other, even though there's a great divide of the dead and the living. Once again, the story does that so well. That theme comes through so well that you can be stuck, even as a human being, if it is that you refuse to let go. And as a ghost, you get stuck and you don't get reincarnated, and you don't get to have like, another experience, a different experience. And so, all these things are happening. The shaman is warning Chayuri. Chayuri is not listening, right? Until one day she's in the apartment and all of that. And her daughter, Sowo, comes out. And she does this thing where she legit walks around her mother to sit on the couch. And then Chayuri is like, can you see me? And her daughter looks her dead in the eye and nods her head. And that's when she realizes that, oh shit, I fucked up. Because her daughter being able to see her means that effectively Sowo can see ghosts. Which you might be like, not a bad idea. But the problem is that Sowo is a child. Yeah. So she cannot tell when this is a ghost and this is an actual
Or it's a
person.
bad
That's
spirit.
the reason why all those
All
other
right.
mothers were gossiping, because she's like, she's always kept to herself. She plays with herself, but she's not playing with herself. She's playing with a ghost child in a fucking
I mean,
daycare.
essentially, this is a neurodivergent child who's being gossiped about by parents
Yes.
because, yeah. But yeah, no, I like that. Something I find really interesting is like both of these shows have got premises that they could have gone fairly straight with, but they bring in the mysticism and like the um the belief systems and things like that, and they bring them in very
Yep.
naturally. Like with
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to give you a bit of a break because I feel like your throat's tightening up because you're crying, so I want to give you a bit of a break. Something
Thank
in
you.
Perfect Marriage Revenge is that there is a shaman character who is introduced as someone that like the grandfather visits because he's superstitious, and she mentions that she has that her spirit guide is someone just called the general, and she's like whatever the general says. But there are several points where it's proven that she knows more than she could possibly know if it wasn't true, like if she genuinely wasn't listening to a spirit. And I really appreciate the way that they are refusing to bow down to either Christianity on one side or like Han China's version of what spirituality should be on the other, and are actually holding on to
Mm-hmm.
Korean belief systems through even in contemporary shows. And I think that's a fantastic thing that they're doing, and doing
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
well at like just being like, no, this is natural, this is just is kind of thing. You doing all right? You okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
It's all
Thank
right.
you. Thank you. Thank you for the break.
That's
So
okay.
yeah, we find out that Sowo can see ghosts. In fact, there's a ghost in her kindergarten that she's been playing with. That's the reason why the other kids and the other mothers find her weird, because the
Mm.
perception and the thought is that she's playing with herself and she's talking to herself, but she isn't, because she can see ghosts. And there's her one of like the a dead boy there. And the reason why this is important is because, remember when I said that as a child she cannot tell the difference. And
Yeah.
the thing about it is that she cannot tell the difference, but also ghost children do not really know that they are dead,
Yeah.
so they can't tell the difference either. So what that means is that um Chayuri goes to what that means is that Shayuri goes to Sowo's, of course she follows her daughter as always to the kindergarten, and then she
Mm.
hears, she hears the people that work there looking for Sowo because they can't find her. And she's panicking and she's looking around because she's remembering the warning of the shaman. She's realizing that her daughter can see ghosts. She sees the ghost boy and she's like, shit, there's a ghost here. And she looks around and finally finds her baby girl in the freezer, because
Jesus.
she and the ghost boy were playing hide and seek. Because remember, the ghost boy does
Mm.
not know that he's a ghost. All he knows is that he can run into things and run out. So his expectation is that she's going to run out of the freezer like he can. But she cannot,
Mhm.
because she is not a ghost. So she's been there
Mhm.
freezing, absolutely freezing, right? And
Mhm.
you know, Chayuri is there. She's calling for help. Nobody can hear her because she's a ghost, and her daughter is there, and she's screaming, she's shouting. Nobody can hear her. Sowo is just there, freezing and freezing until finally, you know, a reflex body action. Sowo's feet kicks the door of the fridge a little, and it opens up a slight bit. And one of the kindergarten workers, comes back to the kitchen, sees the protruding foot, and they grab her and they take her to the hospital. And her father is there, her Min Young is there, her stepmother is there, and all of that. And Chayuri is over there crying and blaming herself. And she
Mhm.
she comes out and she's screaming, and so she decides to curse at God, because she's like, yes, it's my fault, but what did you expect me to do? Is it fair? It's not fair. I did not get to hold her. All I wanted to do was watch her walk. I wanted to see her eat. I wanted to see her grow. I wanted to be with her, and now you're punishing me for something that I could not do because it is not fair. And she's like, why are you acting like this? Is it because you think you're God? Is it because you think you're a deity? Is it because you think you're all powerful? And she's over here, she's screaming, she's shouting. It was snowing, and then it turns to hail, and everybody takes cover. and because it's hail, like it's a hailstorm, her her ex-husband packs his car, right? And he and Min Young, they come down, with, of course, So Wo in tow, because they've gotten her from the hospital. So they park the car because there's a hailstorm, right? You can't really drive in a hailstorm. Things
Yeah, no, they have
quiet out.
serious hail in
Of course,
Korea.
exactly. Now, by the time they parked, that eased up, and crowds were back again. But they're already outside, so they decide to go for a walk, and they are walking together, hand in hand. They are holding their daughter in between, and Chayuri has finished cursing at the heavens, and she's over there looking lost and exhausted. And here comes Kangwa, ex-husband, holding her daughter and with his new wife in tow, and he spots her and he looks at her and he passes her and he turns back and he's still looking at her. And she's confused for a moment, and then she feels a snowflake fall on her. And that is when she realizes she's not a ghost anymore. She's back. That is episode 1,
Dun,
by
dun,
the way.
dun.
Because remember,
That's
right?
all in episode 1? Holy crap.
Exactly. That's in episode 1, right? Of course, I do, like, when I'm like, oh, this is why her mother was acting like that. I pull those from other episodes, but like that is basically the
Yeah.
structure of episode 1, and all of that. Because the first episode was like an hour and a half long. So clearly they wanted to put in a lot of, story in it. And so episode 2 is just, of course, I'm not going into that much details with episode 2, but episode 2 just basically follows that format, whereby Chayuri goes to the shaman, and then the shaman explains to her that because of how she was rude to God, to Kami, they've decided to give her a punishment. Now, usually her soul was meant to ascend to the heavens and get judgment within 49 days to decide if she's going to be reincarnated and what she'll be reincarnated as. But now the punishment is going to be, she's going to be on earth. She's going to spend that 49 days on earth thinking about her life, thinking about her choices, and she's going to get the choice. If she wants to continue her life as a human, she's going to have to take back her place, i.e., her place as her husband's wife and her daughter's mother, which would have been okay, except for the fact that Min Young is there. Now, here is the thing. A lot of K-dramas have and it's not just K-dramas, a lot of dramas, like shows and all of that, have the old wicked stepmother trope. So ideally, for this kind of
Makes it
stories, you'd be
easier.
like, yes, the mother is here. It makes it easier. But Mi Young is not a wicked stepmother. And that is what I love about this show, because this show goes into detail to show how kind, how strong-willed, how amazing Min Young is. Because remember, the whole basis of Yuri having been a ghost for the last 5 years is that she watched her grieving husband. She watched her grieving husband be pulled back from the brink by this young girl who was his junior in school, who apparently, we find out later, had loved him even before he met Chayuri. In fact, the day she wanted to confess to him that she liked him was the day his friends were teasing him about him finally getting Chayuri to like agreement to be his girlfriend. So that's why she never confessed, right? Because she thought that they were not meant to be together until, his wife passed and all of that. But she has been, the thing about Yuri having been a ghost is that she, more than anybody else, because she has the outsider perspective, she's gotten to see this woman who, in a traditional story, should be her rival. She's gotten to see this woman be the wife that her husband needs, even though her husband is still partly grieving. Because now, and like eventually at the end of episode 2, now Chayuri spends a lot of episode 2 trying to avoid, her family, her friends, her ex-husband, like her mother, her parents.
Just point of clarification. Does she have
Yes.
her own face or a different face? Okay.
Her own face. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's exactly her. Her spirit form just becomes corporeal.
So he just walked on past, seeing.
No. See, that's the thing.
Okay.
He's like, So he gets to work and he's like, is I'm sorry, have you all ever met somebody that you're like, this person is a spitting image of somebody else? And everybody's like,
Mm.
nah, like, sure, they might look close, but usually, unless they're identical twins, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I really saw. He thought he was losing his mind.
Okay.
And then, because she's following him, she's hiding and all of that. Because once again, remember, and which is why I love this, and which is why I love that I chose this for, thought she was dead. Because when I'm watching, when she came back to life, the only question I
Mm.
had was that she doesn't have a social security number. She's no longer in the system. How is she going to get
Mhm.
food? Where is she going to sleep?
Mhm.
How, you understand? Like, I'm thinking about, how is she going to get clothes? What exactly? How is this going to work? And it was very understandable because she was a ghost for so long. So now she's like, I can't believe I'm feeling cold. I can't believe I'm feeling hungry. What am I going to eat? Right.
Mm.
So all these things are like logical questions. And it brings to point, like when you say, like, when a drama is intelligent, and when the
Mhm.
writers understand that the people watching the show are intelligent, they try to find like intelligent answers for your question.
Mhm.
So you don't feel like I need to turn off my brain to watch this drama. Right?
Mhm.
So all these things, clearly she's over here like, oh shit, how is she going to survive? But she needs to eat. So what does she do? Remember her best friend, a bestie? Now,
Mhm.
what's the one thing like besties know? She goes over to her best friend's hiding place and finds the key to her store. And she's like, as she grumbles, she's like, Oni, right? Because remember, like I mentioned, Young Jung is older than all of them. Every single person,
Yeah.
like Kangwa calls her Uni, Chayuri calls her Uni, her husband calls her Nuna. She's older than everybody, right? So in fact, when she had a baby, that was one of the stupid things her husband was like, at your age, I'm so proud of you. And she kicked him in the balls. So she's like, she finds the key from the hiding spot and she's like, Oni, I warned you, stop hiding your key here, but thank you. And so she opens the door, she grabs some things and all of that. She steals a little bit of money from the till. And so she goes to like the tteokbokki store close to their house, because once again they live in the same neighborhood, right, to get food. And
Mm.
right there that's where her husband also wants to get stuff for breakfast, so she's hiding. She doesn't want him to see her. But now here is something that is consistent about the characterization of Kangwa, her husband. He's very forgetful,
Mm.
especially when he's in a hurry. So he forgot his ID badge right there, right? Which of course is important because that's also how his second wife kind of met him, even though at that point he did not recognize her. Back when they were in school, he was
Mhm.
sleeping on the bus ride, and he kind of like fell because of how the bus braked, and his bag dropped and
Mhm.
fell into her lap, and he never noticed. He just kept running. So like I love that contrast, like not that contrast, but like it's a duality whereby both women in his life basically had to bring something of his to the place where he's meant to be,
Mhm.
because he is, like, the story establishes that he's a forgetful doofus. He's very considerate and he loves with his
Mhm.
entire being, but he's a forgetful doofus. So
Mhm.
she takes, it's that ID that she uses to like pay for like a bus ride, to take his ID back to the hospital, where she then
Mhm.
just like, but then as she's on her journey, she does that thing where she always does, which she's always done since they were married, where any pictures of him, she does like, little cat ears and little doodles, and then she writes like, what an idiot. Like, that's something she's been doing since they were dating. But my
Mhm.
silly rabbit did not realize that she did it with, like what she had was a permanent marker. She thought it was temporary. So she tried cleaning it off and it did not go off. So she flipped the ID, thought it was thought it was okay. When her husband gets his ID back, because she drops it with the receptionist and leaves.
Mm.
Briefly, his bestie sees her, is convinced that he's seen a fucking ghost, and almost loses his shit. And he blinks, and like, he blinks real hard, opens his eyes, is like, okay, no, nobody's there. I must have imagined it. Did not realize that she ducked out of sight the minute she saw it. So anyway, husband
Mhm.
comes back, flips things around, sees his wife's handwriting. This combined with the I saw somebody whose face looked exactly like hers is making him lose his
Mhm.
mind. But then,
Yeah.
because now she has a body, so she goes to, just to say hi, to like to look at her daughter and all of that. And this time around, when her daughter runs, like she's able to catch her because now she has a body. And there's that
Oh,
moment where she breaks
gorgeous.
down in tears, right? There's that moment where she breaks down in tears and all of that. Now, the stepmother at that point in time was not able to. I'm not even going to call her stepmother because Min Young is just as much Sowo's mother. So I'll just be like mother one,
Hmm.
mother two. Right, because Sowo has two mothers, right? So mother two at that point, Min Young is like, I'd already called the babysitter to help her pick her daughter because she has another appointment, right? So the people at the daycare assume that Sowo is the person that came to pick up sorry, Cha Yuri is the one that
The
came, that
Chairi.
is the babysitter here to pick up, her daughter, right? And
Hmm.
she's like, okay, yeah. And so, she goes with Sowo. Sowo sees the place, like the swing, and wants to play. And because she's been watching her, right? This is little things that she wish she's done. So she puts her daughter on the swing and she pushes her back and forth. And it's like, would you like to go higher? Would you like to go higher? And, she's swinging on the swing, and accidentally Sowo falls off the swing and she's crying. She's like, Mama Biane, she's crying because she's injured herself, and she's patting her baby and she's crying. And that is when her ex-husband, who, by the way, he and his wife have been looking for Sowo because they find out that, the
Yeah, they've been freaking
babysitter
out. Yeah,
got
some
there.
random woman
Like,
took her
they're
out.
freaking
Yeah.
out. Exactly.
Hmm.
And then he gets to the park and he hears like, his child crying. He looks up. His child is crying. His dead wife is crying. And now he's looking at her. That's where
Yeah.
episode 2 ends. So, like,
Mm.
it is exactly her face.
Yeah.
And nobody, because they're like, did you like dig yourself out from the grave? No, no, no. You're not like, and she, like, the entire, a large part of it is her feign amnesia, and is like, I don't know what happened. I just opened my eyes and I'm here. Because remember, she only has 49 days. She knows that she's going to turn back into a spirit and she's going to like be
Mm.
asked to depart. And everybody's like, don't you want to like take over your space? You want to be in your daughter's life and all of that. But remember, she knows Min Young is also Sowo's mother. She knows
Mm.
that, and it's just so complicated. Also, because Min Young is convinced that she forced herself into this family. She wants to get a divorce. Everything is just heartbreak. Her mother cannot move forward because her mother is still grieving the loss of her child. And there's a
Mm.
bit where the shaman says that you have a word for children who have lost their parents. You call them orphans. A woman who's lost her husband is a widow. A husband who's lost his wife is a widower. What do you call a parent who's lost a child? There's no word for that because the mind cannot conceive it. It's not meant to happen. It's not what it's meant to be. And this is something that you find out, like the entire basis of the story is that yes, we are following Chayuri, but we are also invested in the lives of the different ghosts, because each of the
Mm.
different ghosts, Holly, I kid you not, their stories are each as heartbreaking. There's a father, a mother, and a sister, a family of three who refuse to go because their son and brother, like, right, the youngest is still alive, and they just want to watch him. There's a part where
Hmm.
the mother tells Chayuri that she does not even want 49 days. She does not want 49 days and a chance to, come into her son's life. She's just okay being there. Her son is a slob. She does not mind her son being a slob because the son is okay. Because her son, when you consider that, like, I remember when we first get introduced to this family, this wacky ass family, I'm like, your son is a grown adult and you all are just following him everywhere and all of that, right? And you're like, and you think you're like, he wouldn't even remember what happened. But see, that's the thing. He was grown enough. His father, and his sister came to pick him up at school. And just as he sees them in the car, and just as he makes to come and meet them in the car, a truck with rods and all of that hits them and they die. Like, he watched them die right in front of him.
Yeah, and they were
And
coming to pick him up, so there'd be guilt and things
and
like
they were
that.
coming to pick him up. So the guilt is still there, right? And Chayuri is like, why don't you all want to follow him to, because these have 49 days, right? She is invested in She has a goal. Our plan is to drive away all the ghosts around our daughter, because she thinks that if she drives away the ghosts, so what will become normal, and I'm putting normal in inverted commas, but we know that that is not the
Mm-hmm.
case. We know that, like, your daughter can see ghosts, your daughter is definitely going to be a shaman. Like, I'm sorry, I don't
In
know how to
20
break this
years,
news
she's
to
going to
you.
have her own K
Like,
drama.
she's going to have her own, like, exactly. But that's what she is. But because she's also here, all the ghosts that, I've been with her since, for the 5 years that she's a ghost, all of them are like, she needs to help them. So she's like, what I want you all to do is tell me one thing you want me to do for you. One thing. Each of
Mm-hmm.
you get one thing that you want me to do. And that's another thing about the story. You realize that none of them are concerned about finding justice, or, hurting back the people that, that were responsible for them dying and all of that. Every
Mm-hmm.
single one of them. And this is where, because I'm done talking about the entire premise of the story. Everybody understands what the premise is, right? Chayuri has 49
Mm-hmm.
days. She either gets the chance to replace Min Young in her family's life, if she
It's
wants to
the Little Mermaid
continue,
thing.
like, living as a human. Exactly, it's a Little Mermaid thing. If she wants to continue living as a human, or she's
You
going to
know,
just pass on and all of that.
turn into Steve home.
Except for the
Yeah.
fact that Chayuri does not actually want to replace Min Young. But then the
Mm-hmm.
entirety of the drama is, does she not want to replace Min Young because she's being considerate, right? Because then that's the thing about the drama. The drama is like, let yourself feel everything. Because Chayuri
Mm-hmm.
compartmentalizes a lot, and that's what you find out. A lot of the characters in the show do, and that is something I think is a central theme of the story itself. It's talking about how we process grief, how we process loss, how we live our
Mm-hmm.
lives, and also how it is that in our desire to be considerate of others, we never extend that same consideration to ourselves and what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And that breaks me, because every single one
Mm-hmm.
of these characters have the exact same story. So, she's like, okay, I would do one thing for all of you, just let me know. And I'm just going to talk about one of the instances where this happens, right? So there is
Mm-hmm.
one of the ghosts, right? One of the older ghosts has a daughter. His daughter also works in the kindergarten, right? Conveniently works in the
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten. But she's getting married, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it is that he notices that she's very sad, even though she's getting married, and he's worried. So it, that's what he wants. Like, basically, he's asking, Chayuri, that what is happening? Why is she upset? Why is she sad? And Chayuri,
Mm-hmm.
because they both work in the kindergarten, although now Chayuri got a job in the kindergarten and also got a job, being the babysitter for Sowo, because clearly she wants to get as much of time as she can with her daughter in the 49 days that she has
Mm-hmm.
left. And she talks to the kindergarten, the teacher, and she explains to her that she's just sad because she wishes that she had married early, because now she's sad because she thinks that if she had married earlier, her father would have been able to be alive to watch her get married and walk her down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And she's terrified and
Mm-hmm.
worried that his friends would pity him, and that entire day would be about, oh, this is all these things that our friend missed, and our friend did not get the chance to experience this, and that is what is making her feel a bit sad. And
Mm-hmm.
so the man's requests to Chayuri, right? So when the kindergarten teacher, the next time she goes there to look at her father's urn before she marries, she sees a note. And the note there is like, chin up, little one. Like, kind of like the exact same phrase he used to tell her every time
Yeah.
when she fell and bumped her knee, when she did not get into the school that she wanted to, when she thought that she had failed him on a result that she wanted to get something higher. Like, the exact phrase he always told her to let her know that he
Mm-hmm.
loves her regardless and he's got her. That was what
Mm-hmm.
Chayuri wrote on that note for her to see. And so she burst, like, the kindergarten teacher starts bawling her eyes out and start crying. And then the next scene,
Mm-hmm.
it's her wedding. All the ghosts show up to support that the daughter of one of their own is getting married. And sure enough,
Mm-hmm.
even though she does not know it, her father is right there with his hand in hers, walking her down the aisle. And his friends are
Mhm.
watching, and all they're saying is, she's such a beautiful bride. And he's like, yes, it's
Mhm.
ready to go now. So like it's so beautiful with regards to the fact that you would expect that a lot of these characters, you know, the that's something that the theme the show really explores, the theme of family, right?
Mhm.
Of a lot of the things that we consider important or that matters to us, you will find out that they are very irrelevant, and that the little everyday things that you take for granted with those you love, whether it's your family or your friends, those are the things that you end up missing a lot. Those are the
Mhm.
things that get to you, that you remember when you pass on, that you wish you could have more of, right? It's all about how you grieve and how you set your affairs in order when it's time for you
Mhm.
to leave. And it's beautiful. Even
Yeah.
the little ghost boy that Sowo was playing with, turns out that he was one of her classmates. He was somebody that was in her class. And the
Mhm.
reason why he cannot leave is because ghost spirits, like, once again, he did not know that he's dead.
Mhm.
And Chayuri noticed that at closing, when the kindergarten closes, every time all the kids were excited, like looking up in excitement when their mothers came to pick them up, the kid would look up like excited and always be depressed because his mother did not come, like he's not seeing his mother.
Mhm.
So like the shaman was like, it's clear that he probably needs his mom to come for him to pass on, because he's waiting for his mother to pick him up from school.
Yeah.
And Chayuri notices that he had, like, so each of the students, where there's a pegboard in the kindergarten in the
Mhm.
school, where
Mhm.
each of the children like had images, like pictures with their family. And that's how she realizes that, oh, it was somebody in the school. So she asked the proprietress, like, okay, when are we going to return this picture back to his mother? And the proprietress was sad and was like, yeah. The director was like, yeah, let's give her a call. And so that day, Chayuri watches this woman. She's heartbroken, like tearing up, breaking down in tears.
Yeah. Having to go back to her kid's
And
school. Yeah.
exactly, and then she presses the doorbell. And their doorbell has like this little camera that, reflects itself on the TV, on the television where the kids play, so they can see who's come to pick them up. And the little boy
Mhm.
looks up and he sees his mother and he's so happy. And he runs to the door.
Mhm.
And his mother meets the director at the door, and the director is like, she wants to hand her this. And then his mother looks down. And for a moment you're like, oh, can his mother see like her ghost son? But it's not her ghost son. It's Soi. And she gives her a toy. And it's her son's toy. Because that's the toy that she's been playing with. So what has been sorry, I say sorry. Is so has been playing with that toy. And she gives the mother her son's toy. And then the mother goes all like, is he here? And so just looks, and then she just breaks down in tears. And as she leaves, we hear the kindergarten teachers talking about how that mother was the most vocal of all the mothers in the kindergarten, about how the um she was the most vocal of all the kindergarten mothers, about how Sowo is a weird child, and that she should not
Mhm.
be with all the other children,
Mhm.
right? That she's a weird child. She should not be with other children. What's she always doing and all of that. And we then, like, we get outside. The woman runs into Min Young, right? So was mother too. And then she stops Min
Mhm.
Young and she's like, thank you. Please help me tell Sowo I said thank you. And then she walks on. And Chayuri has that moment where she says that it's so sad because, once again, you never know what tomorrow brings. Like, it is such a beautiful drama that just
Yeah.
makes you laugh and then makes you cry and makes you feel
Mhm.
human and alive, and you're grateful that you're alive.
It's one
You're
of the great
grateful that
things
you're alive.
in Korean language. I don't know what the phrase is, but the one it gets translated as live go away and live your best life, and it's treated both as a curse
Yeah.
and a blessing. Like, just live your best life. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's I think that's the theme in both of these, and like especially in like the latter end of Perfect Marriage Revenge as well, is like that theme of like take, carpe diem, take life as it comes, live it as happy as you
Yeah.
can, but make the most of what it is, even if you don't know what's
Make
coming,
the
because you don't know
most
what's
of
going to
life.
happen.
Exactly.
Exactly. Noria, I have chronic clinical
Exactly.
depression. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to watch this show. But I do
I
understand that
know.
need to occasionally watch something that makes you absolutely sob your eyes out, and how
It's
cathartic that can be, and how like it, like, I certainly with depression, like the I don't know if it happens with the normals, again inverted commas,
mhm,
but
mhm,
like that
mhm.
build up of emotional pressure where like you can't cry all day because you'll bring other people down, but it is socially acceptable to watch a TV show and bawl your
Yeah.
fucking eyes out,
It's very
and the
cathartic. Like
very
even with
cathartic.
even myself as I watch it and I cry. And I would also advise, if anybody really finds themselves like they can watch it, I would say don't it's this is not a show to be binged. I honestly think that
Yeah.
if not for, for the podcast, I think this is a show that is best for you to watch it the way in which the show aired. Take an episode, like 2 episodes a week. Pace yourself slowly, because
Mhm.
it's sad. It's sad. It's beautiful, but it's so sad. It's beautiful, but it's so sad. And when you consider
Mhm.
that each of these ghosts have something keeping them, and then you realize that what is keeping them is, some of them is family, but some of them is friends. It's not, and I think that's something else I really appreciate about the show. The recognition
Mhm.
that some of the people that would miss you when you're gone are not might not be your blood relatives, because like,
Mhm.
blood does not automatically make them family, and blood is not the only reason
Mhm.
why they should be deserving of being the only one that get to grieve for you or grieve you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, that is something that show. Sorry, I also have depressive episodes. I'm grateful that I'm not currently in the middle of one, which is why I was able to watch this drama.
Mhm.
But I think I'm with you, Holly, because if I was in the middle of one of my episodes, I don't think I would have the spoons to watch this.
Mhm.
But that is so beautiful because, for example, after Chayuri passes, like at her funeral, remember she dies a week like after her bestie had her baby. Like, she died
Mhm.
shortly before her. She was meant to have her own baby, right? And her bestie Hyun Jung wanted to go to, like, was on her way to the funeral, and her mother-in-law was trying to stop her, because her mother-in-law was like, you just had a baby, it's bad energy
Mhm.
to go to a funeral. And then it was her husband that was stopping his mother, and I was like, that's her soulmate.
Yeah.
Of course she's going to go. That's her soulmate. And sorry, I
That's
watched that
okay.
scene,
I think.
and all I
Go on,
thought
sweet.
was, I watched that scene and all I thought was, if I had, like, if any of my best friends pass before me, and somebody would be like, oh, sorry, you cannot be there to give your final goodbyes, I would lose it.
Mm.
I would lose it. So but yes, like I said, it's a beautiful drama. I'm sorry, everybody can probably hear me crying, but it's a beautiful drama. It's
I
just
think,
you're going to
but
cry a
that's
lot.
that's why we're doing this. Is like there are going to be shows that we cry. I mean, I will. I'm more likely to go monotonal if I'm talking about something that upset me in the past. But no, I bawl my eyes out watching these things all the time. And one of the things I love about Korean shows, especially, also some C dramas, the good ones, is that they are able to take an episode where something devastating happens and have something funny, like genuinely funny,
Yes.
and have something kind
Yes.
of romancy and sexy, and have an epic battle.
Yes.
Whereas in Western TV, especially English TV, what you end up with is it has to pigeonhole into a genre. It's like, oh, it's this kind of thing, oh, it's this kind of thing, and so you get dreary freaking dramas, or you get slapstick
Mm,
comedy, and you don't tend to get the melding of them that you get. Whereas that means that your favorite TV show is like, oh, I'm in the mood for this, whereas when we're watching a K drama will put you in the mood for the show, a good one anyway.
yeah.
Like it brings you with
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and they know how to lighten the mood without going uh like the Japanese Salary Man or Three Stooges or something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
They have
Mhm.
genuine
Mhm.
like wit and amusement, and it makes it feel lived in. It makes the world feel very, very real. And yes, that makes it more devastating when something sad happens. But it, and certainly
Yeah,
with the romances, it makes you pull for them so hard, and it makes you feel like the successes of the characters are your successes. Like, you don't just sort of sit and
exactly.
veg through these shows, you live these shows. Although, again, I am autistic,
Exactly.
so slight bias. I am concerned at
Y-
this point that I need to get Noria watching something funny and wrapped up in a blanket. Um,
like for
I am
real,
torn
cause oh
between
lord.
podcasting and friending, because my podcasting self is like, right, let's just talk about the themes and tropes, and the friend part of me is like, babe, go to bed, but watch some shorts on
No,
YouTube,
but
snuggle
no, I
down,
don't.
gonna
I
be
don't
okay.
mind. I don't mind because once again, like like we said, I really. It's a show that okay. So just like I'd asked Ollie earlier on, not that
Mm-hmm,
I'm done talking mostly about I'm not going to go into like I don't want to go full on into because clearly Endgame is this show is meant to have you consistently asking yourself, okay, so what would Chayuri choose to do? Now,
mm-hmm,
obviously, if you understand the character of Chayuri, you can already guess what her final decision would be. But
mm-hmm,
it's not just about her. That's what I love about the show because Chayuri's decision would affect everybody. Because, yes, eventually everybody in her family, like her mother finds out, her father finds out, her sister finds out. Even the little
mm-hmm,
things of like, two sisters fighting over, you wore my outfit, I want this outfit, and then you tear the outfit so that your sister does not get to wear the same outfit that you're wearing because
mm-hmm,
Yoonji is like close to her in age. The first
mm-hmm,
thing they do, like the first thing that happens after like Chayuri is revealed to be alive to her parents, to her family, is they both grab the exact same outfit and they both wear the exact same outfit. Like there's just it's just and then you see them looking at each other and crying. I'm sorry. Every single
mm-hmm,
moment in this fucking ass show is either making me laugh or making me cry. And it's beautiful.
mm-hmm,
But no matter what her final decision is, you have to also like the beautiful thing about the show is that you know that this decision that she's taking, it's not just about her. It's
mm-hmm.
also is that the right choice for her daughter? Is that the right choice for her husband? Is that the right choice
Yeah,
for her
which
mother?
contrasts
But then
therefore in the fact that that Can kept that like committed tried to commit suicide at least once, possibly multiple times from what you said, and like
yes,
having that contrast
yes,
of her being like, I am doing not what is right for me, but what is right for my child, and that is true parenthood and things like
exactly,
that. And I think,
exactly, exactly, right.
mm-hmm.
So it's very
Would you
it's
say that
very heartfelt. Yeah, sorry,
is it a
continue.
show that you would recommend? Is this a show that you would recommend to somebody who is new to either supernatural K dramas or to K dramas in general?
I won't recommend this show to somebody that like really loves supernatural dramas. I don't think this would be the first one because
Mm-hmm.
it's balances a lot of realism with it, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
very fantastical, right? Like other
Mm-hmm.
K dramas, right? So my
Yeah.
girlfriend is a Gumiho, for example, like definitely high fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nine-tail fox, tales of nine-tail fox, like definitely high
Mm-hmm.
fantasy. Even Queen Inu's man, high fantasy. This has too
Yeah.
much, it balances too much with like everyday living. So I don't think somebody that
Sure.
likes fantasy or even paranormal, I don't think this would necessarily be a good pick for them. But I think that
Mm-hmm.
people that like melodramas, people that
Yeah.
love that are not like because for example, a lot of people's perception of K dramas is the romance because that's often
Mm-hmm.
how it is marketed. Right? People are like,
Yeah.
oh, romance and all of that. So if you're somebody that is not really big on romance, and your assumption is that oh there are no K dramas like all K dramas have romance in them, I would definitely recommend this one because sure, although you get glimpses of their relationship, that is like 0.00001% of the
Yeah.
entire show. The show is primarily not a romance, right? I would also recommend it to people that are big on like if you like stories about family, right? If you like
Mm-hmm.
stories that focus on family, what family is, who defines a family, what makes a family, families healing and coming together. coming together, I definitely think that
Mm-hmm.
I Buy Mama is a great pick. If you are somebody who is not currently with your mother or around your mother for Mother's Day, I recommend. Honestly, this I'm going to rewatch this on Mother's Day.
If you
I know
want to
it.
torture
You
yourself on Mother's Day,
if you want to if your mother has told you that, oh, you don't really show love and concern and stuff and everything else, like, because like my mother sometimes accuses me of that, like if your mom sometimes like, oh,
of
you don't
course.
show love and concern and all of that, and you want to get all that gushy, I love my mother, I want my mother, I miss my mother, if you want to get all of that emotions and
Mm-hmm.
you want to like have it be real and authentic in time for Mother's Day, watch this for Mother's
Mm-hmm.
Day. I guarantee it. You're buying your mother gifts. You're going to call your mother. You're going to go visit your mother. You're going to want to hug your mother. So if you like that a lot, yes, and also if you like stories that depict female friendships, I definitely highly
Mm-hmm.
recommend this because, like I mentioned, right, she and her bestie are very close, but then like later
Mm.
episodes they then bring in Min Young, the second wife, into their
Yeah.
trio, and it is just perfection. Because then
Yeah.
you see
Women
that it's
supporting
not
women.
a women supporting women, and it is just lovely.
Mm.
And then you find out that, in
Mm.
fact, the reason why her ex-husband decided to date Min Young and like his second wife is because her best friend was like, you cannot go on like this. You need to date.
Mm.
Like, and so and she's like, I know my friend, I know Chayuri, she will not want you to be happy, to be depressed. She will not want this to
Mm-hmm.
be your life. She will want you to be happy. You need to go out
Mm-hmm.
there. If there's a girl that you like that likes you, like just ask her out. And so it definitely takes the women supporting women. They are not fighting over, oh, we both want this man, blah blah blah. Like, no, they are
It's
rooting
like, no,
for
you
each
have
other. They
him,
are pushing
really.
it. Like I'm telling you, even the dastardly mothers, the other the other kindergarten mothers that are all gossipy and being
Yeah.
absolute bitches. There was a time when they legit put it in a group chat and then accidentally sent it to like all the mothers in the school that Min Young is
Yeah.
planning on divorcing her husband. Min Young, Haejung, and Chayuri, the three of them, they had on badass glasses, they had on the badass music, and they went and beat this women in the. It was hilarious. They went and beat like
Glorious.
it was glorious. Minjung was beating one of them with like a toy plushie. It was just, if you want, like I repeat, I'm just saying, like women that beat gossips together, they stay together. It was just badass. It was just a badass. So, um, if you like that, like sure. If you like dramas with like wet puppy dog energy for a male lead, because to be fair, that is what our ex-husband is. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, i I am still over here in shook, but Lee Kyo Young as Jo Kangwa, he killed that role. If you want to see wet puppy dog energy in a show, like a man that is like, I absolutely love, which is crazy because it's a vast difference from like his role in prison playbook, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
vastly different from his brief cameo in Stranger. So like, if that is something that you really appreciate and enjoy, I
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend. And I would say that for me personally, episode 1 was enough to get me hooked. Like the start of it
Good.
was, it had a slow build, but the minute
Mm-hmm.
you find out, you're already getting the show starts really well. You get the romance thing, you get the, oh my god, she's a ghost thing. It gives you the comedy. Episode 1 already tells you like the different swings, like you get the sadness, the happiness, the horror, the joy, the sweetness, everything. It encompasses the entire style and flow of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you get to the end of episode 1, when she regains, like becomes a human, you're locked in. You're locked in because now
Mm-hmm.
you're like, what the hell? What is happening? So I
Mm-hmm.
would say, like, by episode 1, you don't need to watch beyond episode 1. If by the end of episode 1 you don't like it, then it's not a show for you,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because of course I'm not going to assume that everything I like, or we're not going to assume that everything we talk about on this podcast and everything we like you would also like as well, because there are certain things, and I am definitely a big fan of, if something is does not catch your attention immediately, maybe it's not for you, or maybe it's not for you for now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? It's possible that you just need to
Yeah.
take a couple of breaks, like steps away from it and all of that, right?
And like, I don't
But
know
what
about
are what
Noria,
are
but a
your
huge part
thoughts?
of why I agreed to doing this podcast was because I kept recommending these shows to people and them either not liking them or just not watching them. So yeah, I'm used to it. If none of you people want to watch the stuff that we recommend, we're not going to be hurt about
That
it.
is fine. That is
It's
fine.
but if you
Yes.
do and you like them, let us know because I'm always happy to chat about the
Yes,
shows I've watched,
please. Thank
positively
you.
or
I
negatively.
100% agree. If you watched it and want to talk about it, if you're like, oh my God, Noria, Holly, you all were liars. This show is trash. I do not agree with it. But please let us know. Like, cuss us out. We don't mind.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, I might be like, okay, I might cuss you like back in my head, but never, like, I would never respond to you like that. I promise. But that, so far as you're not being bigoted, you can be like, your taste is trash without being
Yeah.
bigoted. I'm just saying. I'm
But
just saying.
I will say
Right?
as well,
I'm
like
just
for
saying.
those who know Western cinema, my favorite movie in the whole world is a film called Van Helsing by Stephen Sommers. It is widely recognized as a terrible movie. It is still my favorite
I
movie.
love Van Helsing.
Noria is here watching her family oriented, and I'm like, I'm watching this because the guy's hot, or I'm watching this because it's about revenge and I like revenge stories.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
She's the intelligent one. I honestly I do watch for trash. It's why I get kind of
Although, to be
irritated
fair,
occasionally when I'm watching something and it's like, how dare you be good in high drama and stuff? I want more trash, damn it.
it's so funny because now that you've mentioned it, my favorite movie of all time is actually Father of the Bride with Steve
Hmm.
Martin and then
Yeah.
Keaton. And it's a family
Hmm.
thing. It's a family thing. It's a father
Yeah.
being all like, oh my God, my daughter is growing up. Oh my God, I do like family stories.
Yeah.
But what did you think about, how was the cinematography?
Um, there's nothing to write home about. It's very
Mm.
clean. It's very well shot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They make use of the aspect ratio a lot, like to when characters are facing off, when they're sort of facing down at
Yeah.
camera, things like that. It's nowhere near the double
Mm-hmm,
levels
mm-hmm.
of imaginativeness, but it was very solid. The
Unfortunately.
soundtrack was all
Yeah.
right. The pop songs, if you if we are your first introduction to Asian TV, you might not realize this. Basically, every TV show has at least one pop song that is for a couple, and it plays every single
Yes.
episode every time something happens, and that is very jarring
Yes.
when you first come in. It's like they make little AMVs for the characters of the TV show they're currently
Yeah.
filming. And the one in Perfect Marriage Revenge, like I say, it was Beyonce's Halo, but we have it at home. So it was fine, but it was nothing to write home about. The score was there, but again, nothing that I would be like, I need this soundtrack.
Mm.
The scripting was very good. As I say, it was very intelligently done. The acting was freaking superb. Definitely
Mm-hmm,
recommend
mm-hmm,
it. Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but yeah, it didn't feel cheap. Like sometimes with K dramas, you can tell when the studios like got 5 other ones on the go and they're running out of money a little bit, so we're only going to film it from one angle, kind of thing. It's not. It's very
Yeah.
very organically filmed. What about you?
Mm. Well, for me as well, I would say that, once again, I agree with the cinematography is okay. It's I guess because we watch a lot of K dramas and a lot of Asian dramas in
Mm.
general, so we probably are already used to the high production value.
Yep.
So for example, if you're coming from like, Western TV, you might have been like, yo, all of these things is so beautifully shot. What do you all mean by it's okay? We mean like for Asian drama standards, it's okay.
Yeah.
Which already means that it's already at a high level compared to others. So we're actually perfectly fine with that. We understand that you might be
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, we're giving the flowers where it's due. But I would say, like, I agree with Ollie. It's not the double standards of, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
oh, for how did they
Because they
like that
really
particular
worked
shot was
every
just,
trick.
Mm,
Yeah,
everything,
absolutely. They really worked every
everything,
trick.
even down to the billowing. Oh my God, Duxu has made his entrance. Like little things.
Yeah, little bit everything, every storybook that they said they learned at drama school of like this is how you convey this color theory and things like that.
Yes.
Whereas with I tell you what I will say actually about Perfect Marriage Revenge is that the costuming was very very good for
Mm,
not necessarily for like in the same thematic way that it was with the double, but like there were loads of outfits where I was like, oh, I want that dress, oh, I want that thing. And it's like, okay, fine, it only looks good because she's a size -4, but oh god, that was the
yeah.
last. I have one last thing, Noria. One last thing to say before we start to sign off. The last episode, main character is pregnant. So is her stepsister. Stepsister has the
Mm,
full fake belly tummy and she's doing the waddle very well, actually. Not all actresses can pull it off without it looking silly. She genuinely just looks like she's
mm.
carrying heavy weight. You know, in
Nice,
TV
nice.
shows when the actress is pregnant but the character isn't, and they film very
Yes.
carefully around, like she's
Yes, they
always
try
holding a
to
big
like
bag or
cover.
behind a
She's always
table.
holding
Right.
something, or she's always conveniently like
Weirdly,
beside like a door.
exactly. Weirdly, that they did that in the last episode of Perfect Marriage Revenge when the character was pregnant. They for some reason, I don't know if it was in her contract. I don't know if the director was like, we can't possibly make our star look plus size by being pregnant. They do not put her in a belly, and they are constantly concealing her tummy. It's really weird
Huh.
when you've spent your lifetime
Huh.
watching actresses like who are pregnant hiding it to see those same tricks employed to hide the fact that the actress isn't pregnant. Very, very weird. Very, very weird. If anybody knows why that was done, please, like, if she's allergic to latex and like the tummies were made out of latex or something, I don't know. I would
Maybe
love to
it's
know
part
why
of
they
her
filmed it like that.
contract. Maybe
Yeah,
it's part of her
because it's entirely
contract.
possible because she's a like a main character. They were like, oh no, we can't have her appear pregnant because if somebody takes a picture of it, it could ruin her reputation. I don't know. I don't dive into the celebrity side of
Uh
idol dramas
of
and things like
Of
that,
K
but
Entertainment.
it was
Yeah,
weird.
Kent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very weird.
Now you have me really
Very
curious.
obvious.
I swear, like
Like there's
now
got to
you
be a
have me
reason,
really
right?
curious, right? Because I'm over
But
here
yes,
looking at Perfect Marriage. Is Jung Min, and I'm
yes.
over here like, yeah, she's. It's. I'm trying to see if there's any shows in celebrity.
No,
Um.
don't, Nora, don't go down the thing. We're already at 2 hours. Don't go down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah, because oh
Because
yeah,
if you
yeah, yeah.
start
Wait, hold up,
researching
because
it,
I remember her. No, I'm trying to remember.
yeah,
I remember her. Isn't she the one? Hold on, isn't she the one in Mirror of the Witch?
yeah, she is in that. Yeah, I haven't seen
She's the
all of
one
that. I
in
think I
Mirror of the
started
Witch,
it.
right?
I forgot and didn't. Yeah, I think so. I think so. 99%
That
sure.
is so weird. Yeah, that is so weird.
She's
That
fabulous though. She
Anyway,
really is fantastic. Like
mm,
genuinely acts her socks off, and like the arc between
we love it.
devastation and I want vengeance and I want to live actually be
Oof.
happy with my hot husband
I
kind of
cannot
thing.
wait. I
It's really
cannot
good.
wait. I'm looking forward to that. I'm
I'm
looking
gonna
forward
let
to
you
that.
watch that
It's
as
a
soon as
pity
you
that I
watch
was
next
not
week's
able to
series.
convince. It's a pity I was able to convince Ollie about Hi Bye Mama, but I understand that it is a very sad. Like even I am
Yeah.
probably going to cry a lot. I'm still going to cry more tonight because talking about the drama just made me remember a lot of things. But I
It
really did enjoy
resonates.
it. Yeah, but I would also say that also with regard, I would say that the good thing about I Buy Mama is that the music was not overpowering because I do think that
Mm.
the director made a very good call in that the
Mm-hmm.
acting should take center stage. Usually, I've
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of dramas that have like that really lean in heavily with regard some of the music choices, they do that because they
Mm.
want, the music to evoke a certain sense of emotion and feeling as you're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not faulting that because it's all part of art. It's all part of what makes that entire show. It elevates the
Yes.
experience for me. But I do not find myself, I can't even think about, oh, there's a particular song that played in I Buy Mama. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
because like the show just wrecks you. Because
Yeah.
when it's being funny, it's being funny. But when you're having the flashback scenes and it's destroying and devastating you, you're like, oh, And once again, like I said, shout out to all the actors. I think every single
Mm.
person in this show killed it, even the baby, even the baby, because I know
It
a lot of people might be like, yeah,
No, I was
we're about to say
chuckling. I was
something.
just chuckling. No, I was gonna
Okay,
say
okay,
yeah,
okay.
because I
It's like,
I do not like children, so when they do well, it's always like, oh, well done,
yeah,
you didn't
it
annoy
is
me.
so great, right? Because like Joso Ward as the baby killed it. She had that,
Hmm.
she was like, um so Woo Jin, who is the actress that plays So Woo, the baby, she had
Hmm.
that bright, happy, bright, oh, I'm looking up at you, but I'm not really saying anything. And so you
Hmm.
are seeing her from the perspective of a mother of, this child is adorable, she's just quiet, she's
Yeah.
just on the spectrum, you all just do not get
Yeah.
her and you're treating her weird, right? And
Hmm.
and then Park Jun Young is who plays her as an adult, because yes, they age her, like they turn her into a teenager by episode 16 for reasons I'm not going to go into it. But if you all are still interested in watching the show, please, 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 please check it out. But as I was saying, like, even the babies are amazing. But of course, I'm not going to, the star of it, right? Kim Tae Hee killed it, Lee Kyok Young killed it, Go Bil Gil killed it. Every single everybody brought their A game, and of course, the queen, the mother that mothers them all, Kim In Kyung, was the mother.
Hmm.
And if you watch K
Oh my
dramas,
gosh.
you'll know that Mi Kyung is like, plays the mother in a lot of shows. Like, she
Yeah.
always, anytime I see her in a drama and she's playing a mother figure, I just start
Hmm.
breaking down. Like, I am ready for
Hmm.
it because I know she's about to wreck me in the best of ways. The best of ways.
Hmm.
I remember as the mother in Healer. Oh, I need to rewatch Healer at some point. I remember as the mother in Healer. I remember her role in It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Like, I just, I would still say, and I would say it all the time, that every single time she shows up in a show to play a mother figure,
Hmm.
she lends this air of believability, and I think she works well
Hmm.
with all the younger actresses, and just everybody brings their A game. So if you are a fan of fantastic acting, great acting, I would highly recommend I Buy Mama. So of course, this is where we get to, the end of the podcast, and we talk about if we recommend the drama or not. And I would say yes, yes, yes. Personally, I do. I do for I Buy Mama. I do. If you're a fan of
And
tears
absolutely,
and
it's
you
a
like
perfect
crying.
marriage. Perfect marriage revenge. If you are a fan of adoring men worshipping women, revenge plots,
Mm-hmm.
people actually getting a
Mm,
comeuppance, um,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and just I think it's not necessarily the first Sung Hoon one I would watch, but if it happens to be the first one you watch, you're not going to be lost. It's very good. It's yeah, absolutely. And to steal and slightly co-opt Noria's sign-off phrase, remember, sobbing your freaking heart out at a drama in a language you don't speak is a perfectly valid coping mechanism. But so is
Perfectly
laughing along
valid
to one.
coping Okay, but that would be where we're going to end today's episode. So yeah, go cry. Cope the way in which you
Take care of
only can. And
yourselves.
remember, take charge of today. Tomorrow is not something we're ever certain of, but at least we have
Mm-hmm.
today. And if you want to spend it watching a drama or two in another language,
Mm-hmm.
please do so with our blessings, because
Mm-hmm.
subtitles are a girl's best friend. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye.